I don't look like these girls and my mum doesn't look like their mothers. I'm not this and I'm not that. I felt too Kiwi to be Japanese. You're like in this weird limbo. It feels like I have more clarity than I've ever had.
Kia ora Banana Lab, folks. It's me, Romy. If you're listening to our podcast right now and you're loving what you're hearing, you're loving our content, please give us a like, a rating, a follow. All of that stuff helps us very much. Thank you. So, today, I'm very excited to welcome Sophie Miya-Smith. Welcome to the Banana Lab podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Photographer.
Yep.
Creative.
Yep.
Other stuff in that area.
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll figure it out as we go.
Fantastic. So you are actually our first half Asian person that we've had on here
really?
today. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about your half Japanese, half Pākehā identity and what your journey was like growing up.
Absolutely. So I was born and raised here, Aotearoa, New Zealand, in Auckland. Grew up in Onehunga. My mum's still in the same house. But growing up, I also would go back to Japan every year, where my mother is from.
Whereabouts in Japan is your mum from?
Nagoya, so very central, slap bang, middle of Japan. It's a big city, but not an exciting one.
Okay.
It's like in between Tokyo and Osaka, which were like the cool cities that everyone goes to, and Nagoya kind of just,
Okay.
it's on the way.
It's giving like Hamilton vibes?
Yeah, it's pretty industrial, and my family are on the outskirts of Nagoya, which is right next to Toyota City, where all the cars come from.
Oh, there's actually a city called Toyota City.
That's why it's called Toyota, because it's from Toyota City.
That makes so much sense.
So like my uncle worked for Toyota, like it's every time I go back to Japan, he'd have a new Prius.
What a flex.
That was the flex. He'd like have an orange one year, and a blue one year, and yeah. So that's where my family's from. My grandpa is originally from Tokyo, and then my grandma's from Nagoya, and they met in Nagoya, had my mom there. And then my dad, he is, what is he? He's technically British, I guess, but he was born and raised in Malawi and came to New Zealand when he was about 11 or 12.
So he must have had quite a cultural experience himself as well.
Totally, yeah. And my grandma, his mum, was born and raised in Malawi, from the 20s or 30s.
Wow.
So their whole side of the family was born and raised there. So I'm second generation, the first one out of my entire family to be born and raised in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Quite a melting pot.
I can imagine. So growing up for you,
Yeah.
did you find it difficult to find your cultural identity at all? Because I mean, I'm a second generation Korean, and even growing up as having monoculture at home and having this different space going to school and stuff, that was like super confusing for me. I didn't really know where I sat. So what was that like for you?
I have this really distinct memory of being in my first year of primary school and making friends with these girls in my class, and there was about a group of 5 of them, and they all had beautiful long blonde hair and bright blue eyes, and got invited to go to an after school play day at one of the girls' house, and all the mothers came, and all the mothers had long blonde hair and beautiful blue eyes, and my mum and I turn up, and I just remember thinking I don't look like these girls, and my mum doesn't look like their mothers, but my dad's got blue eyes and curly brown hair. He had blonde hair as a kid, and so I was like, but I'm a bit of this, but I'm not completely that. I've been raised, I've gone through the school systems here, and it's like I'm very much raised as a Kiwi, but I speak a different language at home, and it was this weird, I'm not this and I'm not that. And then growing up, I also did some schooling in Japan as well.
Oh, how was that?
That was a whole nother ball game, and I felt too Kiwi to be Japanese. So it just, you're like in this weird limbo.
Did you ever have periods where you tried to be less Japanese or tried to be less Kiwi?
Oh, always. Yeah, it was always like one or the other. It's funny, I think as I've gotten older, I've there are parts of me that I'm like, oh, that's my Japanese side. Like, it's coming out more and more and more. I mean, even my hair's naturally curly and brown. Now I like straighten and it's black. Like, I look more like my mother now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I think definitely like as a child, you just want to fit in, right? And so there was this point where like I realized that I had stopped speaking Japanese. I was always just speaking English at home. And I was about 11 or 12. And I had this moment where I was like, oh shit, like if I stop this, I'm going to lose all of this. And something clicked in my brain. And I was like, that's bad. Like if I stop speaking to my mom in Japanese at home, I'm going to lose it completely.
That's a big realization to have at 11 or 12.
Yeah. And I think that was like a bit of a turning point for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nowadays, when you think about your cultural identity, how do you conceptualize that?
I still don't know. I personally, I think I feel more connected to my Japanese side in the sense that I know more history about my family on that side. Yeah, like my family can date back about 800 years of their family history, which is pretty impressive.
Wow,
it's huge.
Yeah.
So my surname, Miya-Smith, it's a combination of my mum's maiden name, Mia, and my dad's surname, Smith. I could have just been Sophie Smith.
Not another Sophie Smith, eh?
Yeah. Smith actually wasn't even my dad's family's real last name. That got changed, but we'll get into that later. But Mia is quite a rare surname in Japan. It's often Miyamoto, Miyazaki, Mia, something
True.
or other.
Yeah.
But Mia on its own is quite rare. And the kanji, the character for it, literally translates to the royal palace.
Oh,
the emperor's palace.
she's a royal.
So she's royal. No,
Yes.
so basically the history was like there was an emperor centuries ago, had a brother, had a falling out. The brother was like, I'm going to start my own clan. They're going to be the Mias, and started his own like empire.
Strong name to choose.
Yeah, very strong. And now there's only about 20 Mias left in
Wow.
Japan.
Okay.
And there is this weird like cultural guilt that I feel that I've like broken from that. I'm like this Kiwi now, and you know. And I always think about like, oh, as a woman, like, will I pass my surname on to my children? Do I change my name when I get married? Like, you know, I have those thoughts all the time. So yeah, and when, you know, you go to like book restaurants, say in Japan, and I'm with my grandpa, and there's a booking under, oh, Mr. Mia, like heads will swing.
Oh.
Because that name is quite rare.
I
And we've got nothing to
see.
do with the royal family. Like it's so far removed because it's been a million years.
Yeah.
But there is still that connotation.
kinda cool.
It is kind of cool.
Yeah, I can imagine like you going through immigration or something like
Yeah.
that. People will, you know, heads will turn as well.
Yeah. And
Very
especially
cool.
like immigration, because I have a Japanese passport. I've decided to keep that. And so people kind of look at me, and it's this thing. I was just on holiday in Sri Lanka, and
Lovely.
I used my Japanese passport, and the immigration advisor just looked at me and goes, "You're not Japanese." And I was like, what?
Well, do you get that a lot? I mean, here, growing up here, going to school here and stuff
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
and being in the professional world now,
Yeah.
you're not someone who looks typically Japanese, right? So
Exactly.
do you find that you get comments or people have a reaction when they find out you're
Yeah.
Japanese?
Oh, I've been asked if I'm Russian, Maori. Been asked if I'm Indian, Portuguese. What, like, it's a...
Miscellaneous brown.
Yeah, I really am. So, and I think I can pass as white, especially when my hair is my natural hair color. When it's curly, like I pass as white pretty easily. But then, you know, as a 5-year-old kid, you put me in that room with all the beautiful blonde girls with blue eyes. I'm like, I am not that as well. And then I go to Japan and I still stand out like a sore thumb. I'm not Japanese. Yeah, it is a weird one.
Yeah. So growing up, I know your mental health journey has been a big part of your life as well.
Yeah.
Has your cultural identity impacted your mental health at all over the years?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wrapped up 3.5 years of doing weekly therapy. which
We love a gal who works on herself.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. And it all kind of stemmed from a really difficult breakup I went through during COVID. And, you know, I went in being like, I want to try and save my relationship, blah, blah, blah. It was really toxic. But of course, it all stemmed from the childhood shit. Like, it wasn't about the breakup. It was about my upbringing. And a lot of it was, in the beginning, I was so bottled up because I didn't know how to express myself. I didn't know how to talk about things. And in like Japanese culture, like you don't talk about stuff. I think in a lot of Asian cultures too, like we just like bottle it up. And so I didn't know how to talk to my parents about it. And since having done all this work, now I'm like, I talk to my mum about whatever. And I've learned so much more about her now as well, and her upbringing, and things make so much more sense now as to, you know, why she is the way she is and why I am the way I am. And yeah.
Generational change.
100%, yeah.
So 3 and a bit years of therapy, that must have become quite an important part of your routine every week.
It really was. And you know, it was also a privilege to be able to like do all that work as well, because I know it's not accessible and affordable for everyone. But every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. I had a session. And so I didn't work on Thursdays. And so, you know, that's also a scary thing when you're a freelancer, when you work for yourself, to cut out an entire day's worth of work. But I also needed that one constant in my life, because I was really just in a shithole of a place. And it was the one thing that I could look forward to, keep me going, or just like have a moment of like drop everything else around you. You just have this 1 hour to like figure it out.
It's a difficult investment, right? You're right. I mean, you know, there's so much pressure financially for us to work these days. Self-care is cool as long as it doesn't impact your ability to do other things. And I can imagine you must have felt a bit selfish taking that time for yourself as well.
It was selfish, but it was also, I also felt like if I didn't do this, I would lose it. And what I then found was, once I like accepted that this is something that was going to be a part of my life, I then told people around me, and I was really eventually really open about it. I would tell the people that I was working with, like friends, whoever around me, and they respected that. Once I said, hey, I actually can't do this shoot on a Thursday, or can't go to whatever on a Thursday because I've got therapy and I need to do this every week, they were like, we'll work around you.
Boundaries? Love it.
Yeah, and it's been amazing. Like the reception to that has been phenomenal, and I feel so grateful and lucky.
Sounds like you've got some good people around you as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What are some of the milestones or kind of big realizations that you've had during your therapy journey?
Oh, how much time do we have? It's like a whole other therapy session. That's a really big question.
Is there something in particular about yourself maybe that you've realized, or something like a ball that dropped?
I think the biggest thing for me was, learning to communicate was like the biggest one, because I really was someone who bottled everything up. And now I'm like the complete opposite. I'm like an open book. I'm like, ask me anything. So being able to just feel like I can speak freely and feel liberated by that, that's probably been the biggest one. Yeah. And then the boundary thing as well. Like knowing when it's, time to draw the line, when it's enough, or if it feels overwhelming. I don't actually have to go and do that, Those would be the biggest
So a lot of
things.
self-preservation, eh? I think that's a big thing when we go through that journey of being introspective and looking into ourselves. We often feel that pushing things down or extending ourselves is the way to move forward and to keep progressing and whatnot, but actually taking a step back sometimes and looking inwards to preserve ourselves, that does a heck of a lot.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I think actually thinking more about that's probably been the biggest one. Going back to sort of my upbringing, like my parents are divorced, and they went through a really nasty, 7-year-long divorce. And during that, there was a lot of the communication between my parents was really rough, especially my dad, being Kiwi, and my mum being Japanese, like she's fluent in English, but the way she would express herself, it's not going to be the same as in your mother tongue, right? And I saw that growing up, and that was really difficult on her. And so I would then become the middle person to try and communicate between them. And there's a scene in Harry Potter where Hermione's like, I'm not an owl, like I'm not your messenger. And I always thought myself as like the owl between my parents. I was the messenger. And through therapy, I've just learned to be like, I don't have to be their messenger anymore. Like, there are other ways that we can deal with this, and it doesn't have to fall on me. It actually doesn't have to be my responsibility anymore.
I love that. You know, I think often young people, particularly in those kinds of situations, they feel stuck in the middle, and that sense of responsibility can be huge. Yeah. But I love that's been part of your process as well, learning to take a step back from that and be your own person and make your own rules and boundaries.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've got a brother who is 8 years younger than me, so I kind of grew up being like a second parent to him, with having a single mom and all of that. And so I've also been very protective of him, hence being like the middleman between everything. But now that he's an adult as well, I'm like, you can come in here and figure it out. Like, I've done my part. Nice. But it's nice. I'm not, that load isn't entirely on me anymore. I'm like, I've actually got people around me who can help me out, whether it's my brother, I've got friends, my therapist, whatever. And I've learned to lean onto other people. That is the other one. And that it's totally okay to actually ask for help when you need it. It's not a burden.
I love that. I love that. So I often ask my clients the question of what era or what kind of chapter do you feel like your mental health is at the moment? Mm-hmm. How would you answer that question for you right now?
It feels like I have more clarity than I've ever had. There were days where I would wake up and it was just, everything was just fog, and I would wake up crying because I'd cry in my sleep. Like I was clinically depressed. And there were days where I had to leave set while in the middle of the shoot because I just couldn't handle the world. And now it's just like that doesn't even exist anymore. I feel, I have clarity, and it's really nice. And it's still a work in progress, of course. That's never going to end.
That's the thing. I don't feel like there's, you just get to this point where you recover. Yeah. And then, cool, you're sweet ass for the rest of your life. What do you do these days to look after your mental health?
For me, definitely, I think like looking after my like physical side has been, it's been a big one. I exercise a lot.
Are you a gymmer? Are you a runner? What's your jam?
Gym, surfing, Pilates. But I also don't do it like, I'm not like a gym junkie or this. I'm just like, if I need it, then I do it. I'm not like I must do this 5 times a week. And because I'm also sometimes just lazy as shit. And I need to just lie down after I get home from work and just doom scroll. Like
that's so fair.
Yeah. But I think that, and then I'm now in like a really beautiful, loving relationship, which is like, that changes everything as well when you find someone who like just loves you for you and respects you for you and you gel well. Like I'm not walking on eggshells, so there's that.
Yeah. Is your partner a big part of what keeps you well as well?
Definitely, yeah. He's really good at like constantly just like checking in on me. He can read me pretty well. Yeah, like yesterday, he was like, I feel like you're angry at me. And I was like, what do you mean I'm angry? He's like, I was like, I just haven't eaten lunch. Like, I'm just hangry.
The hanger always gets me.
Yeah, I hadn't eaten lunch since like until 3 p.m. Anyway, but he's got a good gauge. And he's been in therapy too. So like our communication style like is really, really like complementary, which is awesome.
Healthy.
Super healthy.
Yay.
Yeah.
So you like to use movement.
Yeah.
Obviously those people that are close to you. Yeah. Anything else that you find is beneficial for your mental health?
I mean, I think it's really the people that you choose to surround yourself. If you have good people around you, I think you're going to be in a pretty good place. Or people that you trust, people that you can lean on, talk about things. Like I have such a good group of solid friends, which I'm really grateful for. Yeah, that would be it. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So now that you've had this journey with therapy, I'm going to actually give you a very rare chance, which a lot of therapists don't do, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to ask the therapist.
Okay, can I just say something?
Yes.
So when I had my final session with my therapist of 3.5 years, I was like, what do we do? What do we do in our last session? Like it's like a breakup, or like, what do we do? How do we end this? And the week prior to our last session, she actually had to take that week off, which doesn't happen very often, but she did. And often it's for like if she's got a conference or whatever. And I was like, oh, what conference are you going to? And she's like, oh, well, actually, I'm going overseas because it's my husband and I's 25th wedding anniversary. And I was like, what? And then so I was like, okay, last session, I'm asking you the questions. I want to know how you did 25 years of marriage. Like I was like, the tables are turning. And she was like, great, let's do it. And so we did that. And it was really, really awesome.
That's fantastic. So have you had all your curiosities answered?
Most of them, yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
As much as I can in one session. But I'm always... I mean, the one thing I asked her, and I'd love to know from your perspective too, is how do you, and obviously you're a trained professional, but how do you handle hearing everyone's story? Because some of it's so loaded, you know.
For sure, and you hear some gnarly shit, you know. You hear,
shit.
You know, I work with people who are suicidal, who have made attempts on their life, or who are in very toxic relationships or family dynamics, or who are unemployed or homeless or whatever that might be. And there is a lot. Part of our training, we do learn around the importance of boundaries. But for me, I think that's definitely something that I've developed over time. I work in this area because I genuinely care about supporting other people to have better futures. And that means that to some degree, it's really hard to separate from the reality of what's going on for people. And when I first started working, I remember I would go home and I'd be stressing about this gnarly story that I heard, or I'd be wondering or worrying about a client that I was working with. And over time, what I realized is that if I am not well rested, if I don't look after myself, if I don't have a good work-life balance, if my own mental health is not well because I'm too busy worrying about other people, that there's absolutely no way that I can provide a service that is good and that is, you know, where I'm present for other people and I can give it everything. So I've gotten really good at using my third space, which is usually my drive home, on how I separate that. And it might be listening to some music or a podcast or whatever that might be. But I do genuinely feel a level of kind of taking the cloak off when I leave my practice, and when I get home, that's my safe space. Because when I get home, same, I just want to lie on the couch and eat chips and watch YouTube while I'm scrolling my phone at the same time, you know. And although those things may not necessarily be healthy or kind of smart things to do, that's what I do to chill out and take a step back. So some really strong boundaries like that. Other things like I don't answer my phone at, you know, after 5 o'clock or on the weekend, things like that. That's a good
one. I should do that.
I mean, that's been a huge one for me because the fact of the matter is I work with vulnerable people. There's stuff going on all the time. Crises can happen at any point. And I always make sure that my clients understand where that boundary lies and that I do have the utmost love and care for them. But in order for me to give them that, there's a level of boundary that I have to hold as well.
Wow. It's so impressive, I think, what anyone in the mental health sector does. Like, I'm just always like, wow, you do have to have some seriously strong boundaries. And some tough skin.
For sure. One of the things I really like about my job is I often work with young Asian people.
Oh, that was my next question. I was like, do you work with Asian people?
I do. So I often work with young Asian people and young queer people. And I think that's kind of become my area of expertise because that's my own experience. But it's also an area where I've noticed that we don't have the best care available in New Zealand. A lot of the conversations that we have are similar things like this around living between two worlds, balancing strict expectations at home versus expectations from society, and all of the distress that comes with that. Navigating life as a young person is hard enough as it is without having to think of all of these other things as well. So it was never in my life plan to work in the mental health sector, never, ever, ever. But I spent 10 years going through mental health and addiction services. And by the end of that, I kind of looked back and I was like, shit, I've spent 10 years going through these services, seeing like dozens of different professionals, and I actually haven't met a single person who looks like me or has lived my experience before. So I almost felt like I owed it to this industry
Yeah.
that I became that person. So
that's so awesome.
yeah, I'm very, very fortunate to do that.
That is so awesome.
But speaking of professional life, I want to talk to you about what you do, because
Sure.
you're a photographer by trade.
Yeah.
You also do a million other things. How the heck does one get into an industry like that?
I made a decision when I was 12 that I was going to be a photographer. And I think because I said it out loud to the world and I told people I was going to do it, I was like, oh shit, now I have to do this.
There was a lot of things going on at 12 for you, wasn't there?
Yeah. My parents were going through a divorce, and it all kind of came from I got my first cell phone, and it had this shitty 1.3 megapixel camera, and I was just taking photos of random shit, like doorknobs with the sunlight hitting it and glistening, and my mum was like, my child's a freak, what the fuck's wrong with her? And then I took my mum's little point and shoot, and we'd be hanging out with all my girlfriends at school, and we'd go out after school, and we had all those little digicams, and we'd just be walking down the street, and I'd just stop and take photos. And it got to the point where my friends would just carry on because they knew to just leave me, and I would eventually run and chase and catch up with them. And thank God I was in the cross country team, and I could catch up to them. And they would say, they were like, oh, you're like a tourist in your own country. And I'd be like, yeah, it's because I'm Japanese. It's in my blood. We love a little... My people made these cameras. Yeah. It's in my DNA.
Love a little self-deprecating cultural joke, Yeah.
And so then, I was just this is what I'm going to do. And my mum has a background in art. She's an incredible painter. I couldn't paint for shit. So I was like, I want to do something creative. I would make weird sculptures at home as a kid and do paper mache, but I couldn't draw to save myself. And this felt like a thing where it's I see something and I want to capture it. And I would pay all these little attention to all this little detail, and it just kind of grew into this thing. And then I saved up for a few years, and when I was 15 I bought my first sort of semi-professional digital camera, which was almost $2,000, which is a lot to save
at 15. Yeah, that's
and
heaps.
So I went 3 years of I'd get given pocket money to go to the movies with my friends. I'd go to the mall, say hi to my friends, and not go to the film. And I would save that $20.
You're a hustler.
I was a real hustler, yeah. Lunch money, saved it. Wouldn't eat lunch, dumb shit like that. But I saved it, and chores and Christmas and birthdays. I just needed money to save. The Japanese part, save. And so I saved my camera and I bought it, and then I kind of did it through school, and I started just photographing random local events, and then kind of just kept going. I think because I had said it out loud that I was going to do it, I was so stubborn that then I couldn't not do it. And yeah.
You manifested your own career.
I guess so, yeah.
So what kind of jobs have you been doing lately? What's been, what are some of the favourite bits of work that you've done in the past been?
This past year that's just gone, I did my biggest job yet, which was a global campaign for Samsung. And I shot that in Sydney.
Cool.
So that's probably been the peak of my career. And the client came out from Korea. I'm now represented in Australia as well.
Well, you got an agent?
I've got an agent in Australia and New Zealand. Yeah.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. And I
did not know photographers have agents.
Yeah. It's where all kind of the commercial stuff comes, and fashion too.
Did Samsung hook you up with some things?
No.
They didn't give you a free phone or anything?
There was actually this really awkward moment on set where we had to transfer files and show them to the client or something. Or she wanted it on her phone, and we were like, oh, we'll just airdrop it to you. We all had iPhones, and then she's there with her Samsung phone.
Awkward.
We were like,
then you just basically said fuck you to her.
Yeah. But her and I bonded over Korean skincare, so it was fine.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
We both were on set with our little sunblock sticks.
Nice. So how does one even get there from, walking around the streets after school, shooting doorknobs, to doing a global campaign? How does that happen?
I mean, it happened over 10 years. It wasn't overnight. And I think in this industry, that hustle never ends. You never know when your next job is. There is that never-ending voice at the back of your head, but somehow it always works out. And it goes from having regular small bread and butter clients who are just as equally important, you know. And then, it started from assisting other photographers. That's, I think, always the best entry, the best way. You're just like this little sponge on set and you absorb everything. And I got to learn from actually a Japanese photographer who was just a master at what he does. And so I was just obsessed with him. And so any opportunity, I was just like, can I be on set? Can I be on set? And then eventually, the assisting kept happening, and then I was shooting, and then I was shooting more than I was assisting, and then I got signed in New Zealand, and then a few years later, they signed me in Australia, and it just organically grew. But it wasn't easy, you know. But it somehow worked out.
You just keep doing the next thing, and it came.
Keep doing the next thing, and keep saying yes to the next job. And I have had to learn to say also no to jobs as well. That's another thing with the whole boundaries. I can't do everything, and some things aren't worth doing based on the capacity that I have.
Do you find that FOMO though? Do you get that FOMO when you have to say no?
Yeah. I think especially after I got signed, the first time I got signed and saying no to jobs that weren't that didn't actually have a commercial budget and the resources to then not hire me through a production company and have producers and do the whole proper thing. We had to say no to those jobs. Or you had to renegotiate them, or I would have to self-manage it and do it without the support that I have. Things like that have been a big learning curve. And then also, once you get signed, you then kind of can't really assist because you'll be assisting other photographers from other agencies. So assisting was a lot of my bread and butter money back then. So it was scary to suddenly be like, wait, I'm about to lose half my work. But you have to then trust the system and the process, and everything happens for a reason. And yeah.
And I know that your craft has taken you to lots of places. You lived in the States for a while. Yeah. What was that like working over there?
That was actually in my earlier section of my career. So I actually did a degree in design and photography. The first time I went over to the States, I was studying photography. And then I ended up working over there at an ad agency, and I was a designer.
Was it like Mad Men? Have you watched Mad Men?
Oh my God. It was like Mad Men.
Really?
I feel like you have to be an adrenaline junkie to be able to survive that. It was so I was doing 70-hour weeks, and I was also at my first year of working, so I was earning $16 an hour.
Whoa.
Living in San Francisco, the most expensive city in the States. It was just nutty. And it made me realize this is not what I want to do. And I was on a shoot once in LA, helping art direct the shoot, and this badass female photographer, is shooting this $500,000 production, and I was like, I want to be her. I want to be doing that, and I just wanted to talk to her the entire time, and I was like, can I hold anything for you? Not doing my job, because I wanted to do her job, and I was like, that's what I want to be. And she was a Latino woman as well, and so I was like, we can do this. It doesn't have to be all middle-aged white men. That's
cool. So now you're in the space as a young ethnic woman.
Yeah.
Do you feel a feeling of responsibility around opening up the creative space for other people following in your footsteps?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think this industry is built off I hate gatekeeping. It's built off sharing knowledge, and we have to pass that on. And yeah, it's so important. That's how we also then grow as creatives as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what does the next 12 months look like for you? What's the goal in the next wee while?
I don't know. This is the one. I've been such a goal-oriented person my whole life. I've always been this overachiever, must try everything, kind of had 10 extracurricular activities as a child type person. And now I'm just whatever happens, and I welcome whatever.
So zen.
I'm so zen now. It's all that therapy. I came and being I must fix this and this and this and this, and it was no, okay, take some steps back. You can't do it all, and that's okay. So I guess for the first time in my life, I'm just I'm open to all doors right now, because I'm in a good place, which is really, really nice.
It's crazy what being in a good place internally does for all of your external things as well, right?
Yeah. And I think because I've allowed myself to just finally exhale and, let myself be there, I'm so busy right now with work. It's all flooding in. Something I'd love to do is I would love to work in Japan.
Oh no. Well, so before we started shooting, Sophie told me that she's got primary school aged Japanese. Is that going to fly? You're going to have to pick up the Duolingo.
Well, so here's the thing. I don't think Duolingo will cut it for the vocabulary that I need to learn, because I'm fluent, like we're talking about, I'm fluent in primary school sense. Like, you know, I speak Japanese at home to my mother. But if you put it in a context where we have to talk politics and work, then I'm like, that's a whole nother level of vocab that I don't have. And
what kind of stuff do you guys have to say as photographers? Like, I know...
Smile, though.
I mean, I've got no idea what aperture means, but it's everywhere.
Yeah.
What other things do you guys talk about?
There's different language between how you talk to the people who are helping you set your lighting and all of that, and the cameras and the computers and everything else that goes on. Then there's the language you have with the subject, the person, which is a different language. But yeah, technically speaking, like I don't think I could communicate that in an articulate way in Japanese. I could say it, being, you know, in my equivalent of like a 10-year-old, like, you need more sun. You know?
I love that.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe that could be
Bring the sun closer to me.
That could be your style.
It could be my style. But there's also, I mean, the amount of like tourism that's booming in Japan now, the amount of like Western productions that are happening there, I think I would find my sweet spot. But there is this thing that I've always felt like I owe it to myself to actually properly live in Japan. Like, Mum would throw me into the local primary schools and stuff when we'd go back, because she'd be like, I don't want to look after you for a month. Like, you're going to school, you're a citizen.
Did the kids find it interesting to have you there?
Yes, the first couple years, because I'd go to the local primary school, they would be like, who's this girl? Like, this is so exciting, and it was really fun. And they treated me so well, and I was kind of like, you know, it was like the new shiny thing. By like the third year, it was like, oh, she's back. And they were over me. And I actually felt really lonely, because I was like, wait, I don't fit in here either. And the schooling system is so advanced as well, so I couldn't keep up. Just with the level of math, science. I aced the English class.
Nice.
But that was it. And it got to the point where I ended up reading all 3 books of Twilight in like a week, because I couldn't like sit some of the classes.
Team Jacob or Edward?
Where did I land on that one? I don't know.
Neither?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bella.
So, do you cook Japanese food at home, or do you cook white people food at home?
I cook everything. I love cooking. That's actually one of my outlets. I love cooking. But yeah, I do Japanese. I do everything. But my mum also, she also did everything. She's not this classic, typical submissive, stay-at-home Japanese lady. Like, she is so outspoken and loud and has no filter. She came to New Zealand because she was 26 when she came here. They opened up like the working holiday visa between Australia and New Zealand, and all her friends were like, let's go to Australia. And she was like, I'm not a sheep. I'm going to choose my own country. Went to New Zealand, didn't tell anyone, didn't speak English.
Go, Mum.
And her parents got a fax like 2 weeks later, being like, I'm in New Zealand. They were like, what?
Wow. Go, Mum.
Yeah. So, yeah, she is, in many ways, she is also not Japanese. Like, she's too Kiwi to be Japanese, but too Japanese to be Kiwi. And so she also is very much in a state of limbo. Yeah.
Bless.
Yeah.
What kind of cooking are you jamming at the moment? So at the moment, for me, I've gotten into, it's ridiculous because it's like I don't have enough time in the day, but just cooking meats that take like 6 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Giving like simple ingredients, but quality ingredients, and giving it the time and the care changes the game.
That is true.
And like good seasoning. What have I been into? I have been growing tomatoes, heirlooms,
No way.
cherries. They have been popping off.
Really? What's the
I planted
secret?
2 little seedlings, and I've got a tomato jungle right now.
Really?
And so
how? What have you done?
I don't know. I think my cat's been pissing in the garden.
Thank you, cat.
Yeah. I have no idea. I've never experienced my tomato growth like this before. So I've been doing everything I possibly can. So a lot of Italian, but then I was browsing the New York Times cooking the other day, and this Chinese Australian woman did this recipe on fried dumplings, but mixed through heirloom tomatoes with like a chili crisp.
Like dumpling salad?
Like a dumpling salad.
see.
And made it the other night. So good. And I showed my colleagues that I was on a shoot the other day, and I was like, look at this dumplings, like tomato salad. And they were just like, what? Like, that sounds gross. And I was like, no, it's really good. Like it's Asian fusion. Like me.
You are the epitome of Asian fusion. I love that.
Yeah. So yeah, tomato dumpling salad, New York Times.
Okay.
Look it up. So
okay.
good.
I'm not a hundy on that one, but I'll take your word for it.
It's so good.
Your enthusiasm makes me feel like it's
Look,
good.
I gave it to my white boyfriend and he loved it, so that's saying something.
Yeah. Okay. That is saying something.
That's saying
That's
something.
All right, Sophie Miya-Smith, thank you so much for joining us today. I had good old time chatting and learning a bit more about you. So thanks for joining us on Banana Lab.
Thank you so much. It's been really, really fun. Thanks.